Some women don't chase, and yet, they're never forgotten. They don't scream. They don't plead. They vanish like wine through the cracks of a man's ego. And that absence becomes the loudest sound he's ever known. Studio microphone setup, the unconscious battlefield. She was never chaos. She was a mirror. And he mistook his reflection for her fire. A man does not fear a woman's anger. He fears her silence. Because silence is where his own voice turns against him. He cannot name it, but it haunts him. Not because she hurt him, but because she revealed him. You see, every man holds within him the anima. The feminine soul image buried in the basement of his psyche. And when he meets a woman who embodies that image, not with words, not with seduction, but with a still, radiant knowing, his world begins to fracture. He doesn't fall in love with her. He falls in love with the part of himself she awakens. And that is dangerous. Studio microphone trigger 1. The look that sees beyond the persona. She doesn't flirt. She observes. And in one glance, she sees the mask he's worn for years. That corporate confidence, the practiced charisma, the charm. She doesn't clap for it. She looks through it. Like velvet cutting glass. To most, he is impressive. To her, he is incomplete. And that fractures the illusion he's built. Because her gaze does not admire. It reflects. And now, he is no longer admired. He is exposed. Studio microphone trigger 2, emotional availability without attachment. She gives warmth like candlelight. But never burns herself to keep him warm. This, he doesn't understand. He's used to women offering too much. Too soon. Trying to be chosen. But she doesn't audition. She listens without agreeing. She touches without surrendering. She leaves before she's asked to stay. He feels her presence like poetry. But her detachment, like war. Because she disrupts the old narrative. That a woman must lose herself to win him. She does not bend. She receives. And the more he pulls, the more she becomes. Stillness. Studio microphone trigger 3, the silent departure that echoes eternally. She doesn't explain why she left. She doesn't ask if he's okay. She doesn't turn back. And that stillness, that unbearable lack of closure, becomes the furnace of his awakening. For the first time, he feels grief with no grave. Longing with no address. Because it wasn't the end of a relationship. It was the death of a fantasy. The fantasy that he could dance with the sacred. And walk away untouched. But the feminine in her was never casual. It was symbolic. It was sacred. It was the moment the soul whispered, "You are not who you think you are." And now, he is haunted. Not by her beauty, but by the man he could have become. If he had met her in truth. Studio microphone empowerment shift, the archetype of the detached feminine. She was never his. She was a gatekeeper of his unconscious evolution. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." She was the mirror he refused to face. And now, she is the mystery that teaches him in her absence. Because the feminine doesn't destroy. It reveals. It invites the ego to collapse. So the soul can rise. And when she walks away in silence, it isn't revenge. It's liberation. Studio microphone ending liberation line, slow, reverent, empowering. The woman who walks away in silence isn't weak, she simply sees more. She doesn't chase what is not ready. She becomes the lesson that no man forgets. Would you like a cinematic voiceover sample, background music suggestions, or a matching thumbnail prompt next?